and welcome back. We have dead cells prepared tonight, which we will be using with Twitch integration. You'll be able to look on the Twitch channel, which is at Xander Turing. I'll go ahead and mute that. I thought I told you to mute. I'm going to post that in the YouTube chat real quick for anyone who is sitting there. You will be able to interact by voting, and there's going to be plenty of stuff to vote on for modifiers to a run. I haven't yet found a way to get that to work with YouTube, so we're mostly going to try to figure out how we can try to make this work between Twitch and YouTube streams. There we go. Seems everything is ready to begin. Now, last time we left off... did we have a run going on? I think we did. So last time we were here, we were running on 2BC, which is the first big difficulty spike that you find in this game. Kill rhythm. Seems we did start a run last time, so we'll continue on the one that we were running with then. Specialist Showroom is definitely a very important thing for us to pick up. This game is going to get harder for us from here on out, and we are going to find much rarer health pickups. Pick up, let's say, Necromancy to compensate for that. And one flask, which we can use the one that we currently have here. So as the difficulty rises in this game, you'll find fewer and fewer health flasks going along. As well, the enemies themselves will get harder, and some of the enemies will be replaced with more difficult versions, or obsoleted entirely. The big issue with the Spinies here is that after you parry them, they face away. And like many similar enemies you'd find in other games, they hurt you if you attack them from behind with a melee attack. Parry that. If you would like to participate, please go ahead and look on the Twitch channel, and from there you should be able to type in and vote on things to happen. Since we already had a run going, it looks like, for now, at least until we die, it might not be an issue for us. We're not too far in, so... to give us a clean slate, let's go ahead and start. Check the Twitch page. And so far, it doesn't look like it's showing up there. Should be integrated. Maybe there's a setting I have to reconfigure in here. Streaming enabled. Okay, there we go. Now we start a new game. Take a look-see over here, and here we are. Alright, you'll see the voting option in the top right of the stream. For anyone who shows up in the Twitch chat, you'll have things to vote on. Wish I could get this to work with YouTube. Hopefully, over time, YouTube will get more of a reputation for being a very good streaming platform. Now, what do we look at here? What do you think we should pick? Of course, there is my own advice to provide here, but for the most part... let's go with some of our survival tools that we have unlocked. Given that we have multiple enemies to be fighting at once, we'll pick the Symmetrical Lance. This weapon deals critical hits to enemies that are killed in succession. So if we kill two enemies very close to each other with this weapon, it starts dealing critical hits. There we go, it's activated. Now, I like mostly to play with survival tools, so I have a way to parry enemies. Here would be one of the chests that we have here, and that would open up with the Twitch integration. So we'll wait for a few viewers to show up before we start messing with that. I think I can get through it slowly. Maybe a bit too slowly. We'll leave that for now. Funny enough, it carries that Twitch logo on it. So that's just how far Twitch is integrated into our streaming culture. The fact that most games will consider that as their first and possibly even only option when it comes to streaming integration. I wonder if Twitch has its own API. Choice of power. This is where you would vote for an upgrade, for whichever stat you want me to go with. I previously asked about that on the YouTube streams, but it would be a lot more convenient to try to implement that through Twitch. Block that, and cut him down. I'm going to try to focus on parrying stuff as much as possible. It's a very good way to get a signal on exactly when you're supposed to defend against enemies, so long as you know how to parry them consistently. The Captain Chicken voting prompt up there is a little interesting. You can possibly have one of the viewers show up as a bird that follows you around, and you can type various messages that will show up in-game, as well as be the backup healer. In case I ever get into danger, you can force that health potion on me. That's why parries are important. There's a lot of characters that attack multiple times in quick succession, like those Oven Knights. You'll want to be able to parry the first attack, and then that would set you up to properly parry the next few. No one yet is showing up in the Twitch chat, so you would have the exclusive rights to bully the teacher. Somebody be Captain Chicken on Twitch. Not doing Twitch. Be a friend. Give it time. Most of the streams that we have here will pick up their viewers about 10 or 15 minutes into the stream. Seems to be the general rule, and that's also why most other streamers will have a longer, more formal intro, as well as an intro card that rolls through before the stream actually starts. Cudgel is a bit more of a favorite of mine compared to the Greed Shield. Now, we have the Spider Rune, which should have been the last of the runes for us to unlock. Next, I think we are wanting to look for getting into our alternate bonus levels. There are levels that show up shortly after the second stage. And from there, we should try going into the dilapidated Arboretum, which I don't believe we've gone through yet. That was the stage we started with. I think that should be everything taken care of on this floor. Voice to text really sucks. Yes, it does, unfortunately. There's actually a VTuber, and anyone who is part of the VTuber culture will definitely know who I'm talking about. There is one of them who has very, very good text-to-speech software, so I don't know if it's something that you can train very well over time or what. Modifier of the next level. Interesting. We'll be picking up a few cells here and there. What should be most important to us for now? We need 5 more unlocks in order to get the maximum level health flask. I think for now we want to focus on the Specialist Showroom. That unlocks a specific upgrade, which makes it easier for us to get new tools to unlock. Let's see. We're not low on health yet, but I think we might want to start making preparations. Given that we don't exactly expect ourselves to survive too well to the end, let's go ahead and pick the Save Yourself Once mutation, since for the most part, we're just trying to get a few of our better unlocks. At the end of ongoing votes... Oh wow, is it really gonna... I think it's gonna block me off until people show up. Let's see. Whoa, be unto the small streamer. Am I going to have to vote myself in? Let's see, is there any preference? Let's go with blood, just to keep the blood flow going. Chat support has been disabled by the streamer. Please use the Twitch extension to vote. It shouldn't have. How do I set that on? Well, since this is our first attempt to use the Twitch integration, I suppose we'll have to sit back and do a little bit of experimentation here. Unfortunately, I don't have very many guinea pigs when I'm not streaming. Let's see here. Extensions. This should be configured through the game, which it already has been done. Chat support has been disabled by the streamer. Please use the Twitch extension to vote. Well, we had plenty of time to experiment here. Have to change the first option in the game, something about the new voting system. Let's go ahead and restart. And actually, I think we'll have to start completely over in order for us to mess with that setting. Streaming enabled. How do I configure that, though? Advanced options, maybe. Huh, bizarre. It isn't letting me configure other things. Interesting. I suppose we'll figure that out once we have more people to mess around with. So there is a Twitch extension which should be enabled. How many people are watching on Twitch right now? 0. There is no one currently on the Twitch stream. I think we only have 2 YouTube viewers for the moment. Which, most streams that we go on with this channel don't get too many views at the beginning. Ah, it's enabled. Ah, so it's a panel on the chat. It's going to show up at the bottom. Alright, noted. We seem to know exactly how we're going to manipulate this then. Alright, so we know what's going on there. We'll just have to play with that until someone shows up on Twitch then. Streaming disabled, and we'll fix that up once we start getting viewers. So, this is the life of a smaller streamer. I'm trying to weigh it between streaming more often or less frequently and seeing which one will tend to keep people attracted. I'd very much like to stream every single night of the week, but 1, that is very exhausting onto a schedule, and 2, I don't want necessarily a large portion of my experience to be left out. I don't want someone to try to build their life around making sure they catch every one of my streams. It's a little unhealthy. It might be bound to happen as things get bigger around here, so we'll try to hope that that doesn't happen. Block that. And block this. There were 3 in the beginning on YouTube. I believe that they're looking for the Twitch stream. I did have it linked. So far, we don't have anyone else showing up on Twitch. Look at those parries. I know, at the beginning of a stream, YouTube will often report that there are viewers who are waiting for the stream to begin, but haven't actually opened up the page. I do think you can set a stream to be waiting on before it actually begins, and it will count as a viewer waiting even though they're not actually there with the window open. I don't know the nuances of it yet. Ooh, lightning bolt. That's one of my favorites, as you always know. Might be a good time to reprioritize our abilities. We did pick up plenty of survival-related equipment, but maybe a switch off to tactics wouldn't be a bad idea. Or we could just lose the blueprint altogether since I looked away. Alright, take a drink. Every loading screen, that should be a good moment to take a breather. Rock and roll, let's start again. As I said, 2BC is where the game actually starts getting very difficult. So we'll need to be paying a lot more attention to our combat in the meantime. Right here might be the best setup if we're wanting to focus on a tactics build. The mushroom's a liability, but we're not going to be fighting people up front. Plus, he will be very capable of keeping enemies away. Now, what's very interesting about shields in this game is scoring a parry will drop all of the arrows out of an enemy. So a shield and bow build is actually very, very viable, despite what you might expect. I know a lot of people fixate on doing a melee weapon and a bow, but a shield might even be more viable in this game. Funny enough, I play mostly with survival builds, and that seems to be the least popular in the community. A lot of people pick their ranged weapons and will just instead dodge through enemy tells. I prefer having no undodgeable setups though. There are some enemy configurations where you won't be able to dodge successive attacks. You'll dodge roll through one and end up getting hit by another immediately, before you have a chance to dodge again. The difference with shield parries is the instant you successfully parry, you can immediately parry again. So aside from some very convoluted left-right parry setups, you're not going to be left with any situations you can't defend against if you're using a shield. Wow, Mushroom Boy's putting in some work. You'll also be able to dodge roll and parry and do those alternatively. So in worst case scenarios you can dodge to an attack, but if you're anticipating another hitbox, you can parry as you're coming out of the dodge, like what I just did there. Wolf traps are important. That one is slightly better than the one we started with. What will give us some trouble is that we currently have an uninvested forge, so it might be a long time before we're finding better weapons on average. The game, accordingly, will actually be very difficult for us, given that we're not finding too many upgraded weapons. We're playing through this game essentially faster than it's expected for you to learn it. But that's what happens when you have a level of experience I do, and try to come back to play it at an earlier stage. Ah, that's what I forgot. I didn't post it on Twitter that we're currently live. Why not do that real quick? Mushroom Boy is indeed being very helpful to us. Thank you, Mushroom Boy. The best Mushroom Boy. Da-da-da, da-da-da-da-da. Change our Twitter status. I really should start configuring buttons all over my stream deck. That'd probably be the best thing for us to do. Alright, everything is shipshape and ready to go. So the main weapon we're using here is the Multiple Nox Bow, which is one of the first weapons you unlock, and simultaneously, one of the best. It's very straightforward in the fact that it's just a bow that fires 3 arrows at once. No other gimmicks to it. But, because of that, it synergizes very well with arrow-related perks, and generally has very good damage. If you manage to be lucky enough to find it with an effect that makes it apply a status, such as poison or bleed, you'll be able to stack it multiple times since you're firing multiple projectiles. We're gonna skip that ice grenade. Ice grenade, I must assert. I have been doing 3-hour streams so far quite frequently, which definitely it's hard to keep up a voice for that long. So, ultimately, I should be getting a lot of practice these days to try to keep up the proper Xander voice. Now, the Mushroom Boy is helping us more than not currently, so we are going to skip out on that turret, even though the Mushroom Boy only scales with survival and not with the stat that we are using. We will accordingly also skip out on the tonic. Now we are going to look for the Dilapidated Arboretum again once we have this entire area cleared out. We have successfully cleared it out, so off to the Dilapidated Arboretum it is. This map has plenty of large open rooms with a lot of horizontal space. That's generally best for a ranged weapon build. Promenade of the Condemned might be the best option for brutality, because you have a lot of platforms to be going through. And Toxic Sewers has a lot of close quarters, which means that enemies are not going to be able to dodge your survival attacks very well. So that one's usually reserved for a survival run. Let's see. We're wanting to be able to stock up on upgrades, so the extra survivability from the YOLO ability should be our choice. At least until we have plenty of other unlocks made. Once we get to the harder difficulties, we will find even more cells on average. Give ourselves a bounce and a boost. You also see that that bow is just generally doing a lot of damage to enemies. It's surprisingly high damage. It's not like they took the damage of one bow and split it across 3. It does reasonably high damage for every single arrow you fire. block that, and block that. We don't necessarily have to worry about the spiky guys because they'll only hurt us so long as we hit them with a melee attack. While those enemies are guarding, we can use the homunculus rune to get past their guard. The tiny mushroom boys can sort of hunker down, and they'll function as a shield blocking your attacks. Normally you're supposed to just walk away, but if you have the homunculus rune, or anything that counts as applying a status or a grab, you're able to hit through it. The homunculus rune itself counts as a grab, and so it can't be blocked by shields. Now, where's that new bow mutation? That's one we're wanting to pick up because it will increase our damage the more arrows we embed in our enemies. Given that we have the triple nox bow, we'll be able to build up stacks with it very, very, very quickly. Ah, we didn't even spawn our own mushroom boy in yet. We'll need to do that. And for the most part, he should be able to keep himself safe. Grab those, and grab those. Get a little bit of tonic, which is not going to help us as nearly as much as our other upgrades. Bounce off of there. And we have another room off to the right. Mostly the Arboretum will just generate these large rectangular buildings. You'll have a few resting points in between them. You see that parry? In the middle of attacking. Of course, if I had a better view on that rock there, I probably would have handled that one. An excellent run so far. The biggest difference is the fact that we will have enough permission to go ahead and use our flask in between levels, given that we'll occasionally get a refill. I think we'll get, on average, 1 flask charge for every single fountain we come across. At the beginning of the game, you'll get a full recharge every single run. Then you'll get a full recharge and occasionally only a single charge. Then, in the later difficulties, you don't even get any refills from the fountains themselves, leaving your only option as the stores. Now, we don't have it unlocked yet. I thought it was something we get at the beginning of the game, but I might have to look up where we find that mutation again. One other way to circumvent that is to deliberately make the game harder by applying curses to yourself. There is another mutation we can find later on that lets us restore health so long as we make kills while cursed. This passage here we can only go through so long as we have the spider rune. Because of that, we get into a bonus level called the Prison Depths. However, we haven't cleared out this entire room yet, so we're going to try to clear out the entire level and mostly focus on that. That will be the best at getting us to find some upgrades for some new equipment. It also will generally give us the most cells. More enemies, more cells, more upgrades. Those wolf traps are important because they lock enemies in place, which also has the side effect of preventing enemies from spinning around. If they can't turn around to face you, then a lot of ranged characters become useless. There are a few enemies that can turn around during their game. Given that we don't have any investment into either brutality or survival yet, we'll go with the higher health option. That will also upgrade our mushroom boy and our shield, which we're not using any brutality weapons for the moment yet. But next time we pick up an upgrade, we might go brutality just for the very large health bonus that it will grant. Climb up that ladder. You'll see this enemy is not capable of turning around since we used the wolf trap on him. Those guys are especially dangerous because their attack cues are subtle. When they are about to throw a projectile, they only get a faint yellow line as a signal. And so long as they're not facing us, they're not going to attack us. Oh, we do not want to ground pound into those flowers. They'll give us a good chomping. Throw down the wolf trap there, and now that enemy is facing away from us. So he'll be easy pickings for our bow and our mushroom boy. Let's see. We want to mostly focus on damage. This game tends to work best if you build for high damage more than anything else. So in spite of the health bonus from Brutality there, we're going to go for Tactics still. Damage works better for you more than anything else because that will compound multiplicatively. Every single scroll you find gives you an extra 15% damage, multiplicatively rather than additively. So for every 15%, you get an extra 15% on the next upgrade. Your damage will raise exponentially accordingly. Oh, dodge that. Another thing is you'll have a backup dodge or roll if you're using both a shield and using your regular rolls. So you have an extra opportunity in just about every case to defend yourself in an emergency. Given that you generally try to build for maximum damage and not for health, it's a lot better to have more defensive options. For an example, for those who have been watching the Guilty Gear streams, Gold Lewis has high health, but he has poor defense. His buttons aren't capable of stopping his opponent very well, and he doesn't have many tools to defend himself with, mostly just a few slow buttons here and there. Accordingly, you'll see he ends up getting stuck in the corner very often, whereas a character like Chip actually has a DP, which, as risky as it is, does give him more defensive options. Along with him having the agility to avoid being hit in the first place, his defense is better than Gold Lewis, even if his health is lower. Because he has more ways to prevent himself from taking damage in the first place, which is generally going to be the thing that we want to focus on. We don't want to have the most compensation for when we make a mistake. We want to make it as minimally possible to make a mistake in the first place. Ooh. Now that's very high use, and that does not really any significantly more damage than the bow we already have. 469 DPS versus 459 on our whip. Get that stalker there, and a few more arrows. Excellent. Bounce up here. Get a few more arrows in there, and this guy should have a scroll or a weapon on him. Purple it is. And we'll be focusing entirely on purple until we find scrolls that do not give us that option. The Mushroom Boy is surprisingly more valuable to us on a tactics build than on a survival build. He is green color coded, so he will do most damage on a build that runs survival, but I don't feel like he integrates very well with survival as a skill. For something that expects you to do a lot of parrying, he will disrupt your attempts to parry, given that he moves enemies away. I told you that you're able to parry immediately again, so long as you don't miss the first one. Now, the issue with that is that you'll tend to have an enemy knocked away that you were trying to parry. That gives us a similar problem with the dodge roll issue, where if you miss a parry, you're not going to be able to parry again. So if that first attack misses and you're not able to parry it, then you're vulnerable to a follow-up attack. In fact, you're even a sitting duck due to that animation. Chances are you're going to be hit by another enemy very soon afterwards. Ah, so close. No specialist showroom for us. We'll want to upgrade our bow because that's just our most common source of damage. Loading screen, take a drink. So, I think right here we want to focus on Tranquility because that will give us the most damage at a distance. Ah, James! So happy to see you. Welcome. We are currently not running with any Twitch integration because apparently it won't even let me play the game if no one votes. We're not running any Twitch viewers for the moment, so if you want to have exclusive rights to bully the teacher, you can head on over to the Twitch stream. Though it uses a panel integration to vote rather than letting you type in the chat for the moment. Apparently, they're saying that the chat integration isn't too functional. That's our first time coming through one of these bonus levels, where it signals to you that you open up that chest and it will shut behind you. That's regardless of whether or not you take the cursed chest that's in there. Ah, James is ready to bully. We'll probably have to exit out first in order to get that activated. Let's go ahead and quit. Streaming enabled, and continue. Hopefully it sets it up instead of forcing me to restart. Nope, seems that's our situation that we ended up with. So you have executive rights since you have permission to bully the teacher, James. Tell me if you'd like us to restart so that we can do it with Twitch from the beginning. Otherwise, we go until I die. Which might be soon. Seems it's not going to let me activate it in the middle of a run. That guy's a bigger problem. Focus on the left first. Mushroom Boy comes out, trap goes down, and we'll start pelting this guy in the back instead. You're fine both ways. Well, we might have to run across some decent upgrades first, and we'll probably have more cells show up if we just keep on our current route. I want to try to gather a few more unlocks, so we'll focus on getting this run as far along as possible. There's a few blueprints I want that we can activate sooner than later. Reactivate and pull everything in. That's Kayla's vote from YouTube. Would you agree, James? Right now it's mostly a 50-50 vote. Don't think we're running any viewers for the moment. My enjoyment is top priority. Very much, thank you. Well, I do like providing an environment for the class to participate, so once we get to the end of this level and invest our cells, I'll go ahead and start over. That will also give us the Hunter's Sanctuary, whatever it's called, and that will let us purchase a grenade, which makes it easier to find more unlocks later. So until we complete this level then. Oh, there's a lot of you. I'd say I enjoy the streams mostly when I have a way for the class to participate. I'm not particularly invested in just talking about a game while I'm playing it. I want an opportunity to participate. class participation, if you will. Wow, it's a lot of them. That's where a melee weapon would be much more useful for us, because these arrows are only going to hit one of these guys at a time. We'll just circle camp. Oh, well, that counted as a death, but we did have our emergency. We might end up dying soon regardless, given that we don't have a weapon to handle this situation very well. Huh, a few parries would have locked them in place for a while. Get a parry there, and that will keep him stunned for long enough for us to use those arrows on him. How much do you know about dead cells, James? You'll have exclusive voting rights, so there are a few things which might be better if you know how to make this game work. Of course, regardless, I'm happy to explain anything along the way. Or just completely not parry that because I thought it was too far to actually be hit. Very well, we're restarting. We're restarting anyway. Let's see if that voting integration comes up. No option in the top left, so we'll have to quit, turn it on, and restart. Now it gives me the panel option. I wonder if I can go ahead and integrate that for the component. What's the difference between a component and a panel? Let's go ahead and look at that real quick. I suppose that's something to look up later. We'll leave it as a panel, which you'll see in the window below the stream. You will not be able to vote by typing in chat, but instead, you should see a window below or next to the stream, which has a panel for us to vote. I wonder if I can move it to the side. Doesn't seem to be giving me an option immediately, so we might just have to leave that there then. As inconvenient of a spot as it is. Streaming integration enabled, and we'll start a new normal stream. Normal game. So the most important decision for you to make is it will ask you what sort of scrolls for us to get. I'm not going to be able to pick my build. You're going to have to build for me. It's also giving you the Captain Chicken option, which lets you fly around and type messages behind me. Sort of like those prior Guardian Spirits, you have an opportunity to occupy the space inside of the game itself. Now, we started off finding a red item, and we don't have very many brutality options unlocked. But I see a punishment over here, which we're definitely going to need. There should be the panel on the other side, and you should have the option to pick something there. Otherwise, the actually necessary vote will come in between levels, in which you pick modifiers similar to what we were doing with Noida. Block that. Now, I picked up the punishment shield, which will be very useful for us. What that does is it has an area of effect damage once we parry something. Block that. So that will be especially useful with the situation that we just almost died to, or in fact died the first time, where our yellow activated, and it revived us. Uh, 15% health. Ah, Broham, welcome. I was messing around with Twitch, so I didn't exactly have the Restream for both windows open just yet. It's not going to respond to you in chat, it's going to respond to the panel, which should be showing on the bottom of your stream window. I'll give it a refresh and see if I see it. It's right there. Let's hit a button and see what happens. Chat support has been disabled by the streamer. Please use the Twitch extension to vote. What a weirdo. I wonder if that's what the component would be. Well, while we're learning things, that seemed to be a bit less intuitive. A component. Hopefully that should let you type something in the chat. We'll figure this out. This is our maiden voyage with the Twitch integration. Refresh that, and hopefully now the chat option should be working. This is going to be difficult. Random question, ever try Risk of Rain 2? Bought the game, have yet to play it. Is Dead Cells better? Well, if you've listened to me talk on my other streams, this is my absolute favorite game of all time, so I'm not going to say any game is better than Dead Cells. Comparatively, Risk of Rain 2 is multiplayer, so that's one edge that that game has over Dead Cells. Chat is much quicker now. Neat. I am using a better VPN server, which probably isn't slowing down. I'm also seeing only a few dropped frames, so I think we have an excellent connection to the YouTube server right now. I found out that the reason why we were having so much trouble on that one Saturday stream where we were getting about 8 FPS, that was due to me having a VPN connection to a very far server. While we're focusing Red, let's keep doing that. Yeah, you know what? Let's sit down and try to make sure this can work, James. It says disabled by the streamer, but it doesn't even let me enable it in the first place. Alright, let's look this one up. Apparently this is an issue from early 2020 where they started doing it with the panel instead. I have to change the first option in the game, something about the new voting system. There we go, it's in the options menu, not when you're starting a new run. Use the new vote system. On the widget rather than the chat. No, shut that up. Let's go ahead and restart our game from there. Make sure that that is the option set, and hopefully this should be a lot more functional. Start a new road, a new route, normal. An hour into the stream, and finally I think we can get down to business. Luckily, though, all my streams have been lasting for a longer time regardless. No, you should have the streaming integration enabled. Looks like we'll have to turn that on every single time. Maybe only until we get into a room. So now, we should have chat integration. Go ahead and give that a test, James. And then you'll have exclusive mocking and bullying rights to Professor Turing here. Jumping on an enemy stuns it. How convenient. Ah, one person entered the draw. Seems like it functions. We'll start building for survival first. Ah, very helpful chicken. Hello, James. I think if you type things in chat, that'll actually show up on stream. Ah, it does show up the messages on Twitch itself. I wonder if that's showing back in Restream over here. Ah, it has. Get that block. Ah, maybe it won't show a message if you type while I have it paused. Maybe that was the issue. I do remember streaming this before, and... Ah, it is showing us passages, so we're going to take this a little bit easier, and a little bit slower. The options we have there up on the top determine where we're going next for a level, as well as picking what our choice of improvement will be. I wonder if that's a Twitch option, letting people talk as the chicken, because I remember it happening. Allow the chicken, authorize Captain Chicken to speak. His messages will be displayed in-game. I might just have to watch for them a bit closer. Throw the ice grenade down there. Make that fight a little bit easier. Dilapidated Arboretum. Alright. And we're getting a brutality buff, it looks like. Chicken Chain Super Friend. Alright, Bog, let's watch that closely and see if that shows up. It should. It's certainly a different bird than the last time I was playing. Get back here. You are authorized to speak. The game seems to be somewhat non-cooperative in that case. Of course, maybe it's happened and I haven't been able to see it. I don't think you actually have to tag it at me, right? Maybe. Maybe not. Maybe you have to do that through the panel. How unfortunate. It's funny it comes with its own little voice. At least the voting works. No, I am going to miss your messages regardless. Block. Captain Chicken. Makes me laugh. That should be our route to the dilapidated Arboretum over there. And accordingly, we're not able to, or allegedly, we shouldn't be able to leave through there. I'm not going to test that for now. Now, before we head on, there should be, allegedly, one more scroll for us. And that should give us another voting option. Ooh. Now this is another chance for chat to cooperate. Well, participate, and hopefully cooperate in that participation. If you type in the messages on screen, it should help blow open the chest. Hey, there we go. You saw the little name pop up. Just the two of us, Captain Chicken. Against the world, and no one can stop us. Yeah, it's gonna ask you to do that multiple times in order to open it. It's usually set up to try to have multiple people in here, but right now you have executive bullying rights. Hey, there we go. Causes enemies to bleed when you parry. I think given that we're going to the dilapidated arboretum and we might end up encountering a bunch of birds there, we're going to sell that instead. Punishment is very good for fighting a bunch of enemies at once. Oh, it's going to do that every single time now, isn't it? I think we can skip that for the moment. If we get 2 folks in chat, it'll go down a lot quicker. Brutality it is. So the choice we are making there is which one of our stats we level up. Brutality mostly focuses on close range melee, close range and fast melee, and those will be the red weapons we find. Tactics is for ranged weapons, for the most part, and those will be purple. Green is in accordance with survival, and that usually focuses on defensive options. So, with you picking brutality, we're going to look for red weapons, and we are going to pick that up. It's your choice on whether you want me to be fast and smashing things up close and personal, or taking things a bit slowly, or taking things from a distance instead. There we go! Our chicken finally speaks, so I think it's starting to work now. Make a chicken character for rivals and name it James. I think that's immediately the door on the other side. No, it isn't. Alright, we got an enemy here. And now he's frozen. Gonna try to bump him up against the wall, which our weapon here, the Spartan Sandals, does extra damage if we can push an enemy up against a wall. Ah! And we found a brutality scroll as well. It has to be lowercase for some reason. That's bizarre. Now, they did say their chat component wasn't functioning too well, so that might be a part of it. That's the entire room cleared out, and we have all of our brutality points we can. Hi Kayla, welcome to Twitch. Would you like us to go back and open up that chest? No, there it goes with being capitalized just fine. Maybe it took a moment to warm up. Interesting, every few hits he glows red instead. Take a drink while we wait on that answer. Alright. Onto the arboretum we go. I don't know if it would have blocked us off, or if it just would have penalized us for going through the wrong room. Ah, no bonuses for killing a bunch of enemies. Unfortunately, it's just now that we're unlocking the specialist showroom. Now, we are wanting to focus on better brutality options, so we should probably unlock some red weapons first. Sadist Stiletto will be more accessible to us. It's also a lot better than the Spartan Sandals for what we're trying to do. We'll get rid of those. We don't want 2 melee weapons necessarily. Now what we need is a reliable way to inflict bleed or poison on our enemies. I just picked the wrong one. I meant to pick YOLO. Ah! I have to put in a healing request. Let's change that. random spectator chosen from the volunteers will be the boss, and we'll be able to launch some special attacks. Oh, that's gonna be fun. What is it? I think... Allow the chicken to heal you without an explicit request from you. There we go. I wonder if that's gonna skip me doing the animation. Now we have a new role on who gets to be Captain Chicken. Of course, they're going to have to vote every single time, unfortunately. Come back and stab this guy a few times. Now, what we just picked up is the Sadist's Stiletto, which is a dagger that deals extra damage to enemies that are bleeding or poisoned. What we're going to look for now is another weapon or method to apply that. Welcome back, James, my favorite chicken. Four-pin. That might actually be better for us than the stiletto for now, but I think we just want to try to save up as much money as we can. Especially if we're going to have to upgrade everything later. Come on. Ah, right, they turn around every single time you parry them. Oh, Captain, my Captain. Luckily, the Sadist Stiletto is excellent against all these bird sorts of enemies, given that it has a very fast attack. Although our balanced blade that we just picked up here is going to be way, way better for us. It also has a bonus towards slowed down enemies, which will be anyone that we hit with a frozen grenade. On top of generally being a very effective bossing weapon in and of itself. Mostly we're picking it because it's the best red weapon available to us for the moment. Where shall we go? We're going to mostly travel in one direction until we hit a wall. It's going to be a case of clearing out most of these rooms somewhat in a circular fashion. And then we'll just move on to the next way that we have to get out of here. Get a few more cuts there, parry that, and get hit. I think that's something we should remember. We're going to try to focus on using the ice grenades as much as possible. Especially against bigger enemies like this. The balanced blade itself does very, very low damage, but it will build up better damage over time, so long as you keep hitting with it. We're going to leave the frozen guy unattended for the moment. And now that we've dealt with the other guy, we can attack him. So now we have a voting option for whatever our next level is. Ideally, we want to try to go through... well, maybe. Maybe we want to go through the prison depths. That is the... Oh! That... I'm sorry. That was the question you were asking earlier. So, the prison depths is essentially the bonus level for us. That gives us a cursed chest and a shot at an extra scroll and a few more bonus items accordingly. The ramparts is the standard difficulty level after us, and Morris of the Banish is if we want to go through the hard level. That's, I think, has the most unlock opportunities for us. From the prison depths, we have the option to, I believe, return to the ramparts, or head to the ossuary, which has a couple of other upgrades we're also looking for. I think I understand why they picked for the panel, because in larger streams, you'd have people clogging up the chat. I wish the ledge grab wasn't automatic in this game. I think that would fit a lot better for a larger stream, because you'd be able to have much more constructive commentary in between. As it stands though, this is a very small class for Xander. Luckily, getting hurt isn't the end of the world for us, given that we picked up a tonic. That would be better integrated if we were upgrading our survivability through using, well, the survival. That doesn't have any good bonuses for us. We'll skip on that one for now. Now that we've cleared out that side, we'll be heading to the other half of the level in the other direction. This level has a bit of an unorthodox setup compared to the other ones in the game. See, as we're building up multiple attacks through the balanced blade, we'll be able to do a lot more damage given that it's scoring crits every single time now. So as long as you have enemies to keep attacking, it's going to give you good luck. Grab that, attack you, and attack you. Now, this game definitely sets it up with a mix of roguelike features. Some roguelike games want you to clear out the room as fast as possible. Some of them want you to take your time and go through every nook and cranny. This game does well with both. Choice of the Minotaur. So we only have an option here of brutality or survival. No tactics options for us. No purple. If you pick brutality, we'll be doing even more damage, but the first level up for any of the stats gives you a very large health boost. The more points you put into a single stat, the lower the health upgrade it gets. Most people playing this game, Serenade is good, but we probably want to use our other items more. So when you start something small, you need something strong at the bottom, right? Engineering and shit. Strong and focused. Absolutely. I assume that's a mark on the streaming stuff going on here. And so far, we have a good few regulars. Actually does so much for me seeing people show up in the chat often, again and again. It seems most people are showing up for Guilty Gear. We've had a few people show up for other stream options, and I would like to do some variety, but it seems most of the people are showing up for gear-related content, which I don't mind. Good parries. Now what are we looking at? What was I going off on? Damage scaling. So, in this game, most people try to build towards focusing on one stat exclusively. Mixed builds are not very viable except in certain very different circumstances. As you put more points to a single stat, you'll do more damage with that stat, but every health upgrade gives you less and less. So it's generally a good option to try to invest a few points in your off skills just for the large health bonuses they start with. After 2 or 3 levels though, they become less relevant. Naturally, if you have an option to invest in your main stat, pick it. Because as you saw from our Minotaur scroll earlier, you'll eventually come across stats that only give you 2 options rather than 3. So you will eventually come across scrolls that only give you options for the stats that you don't have mainlined. Those are generally where you want to save your level ups for your off stats. Choice of the Guardian. Like for example here, we only have an option for tactics or survival. Between those, survival's probably the better choice given that our offhand weapons are all green. In most cases, I try to level up with whichever gives us the bigger health bonus for now. So that will usually be the one with the smaller stat investment in it. Ah, another choice. A choice of power, so I think that gives us one option out of every stat. No choices here, so I'll go ahead and pick up survival. Block. Come on. There we go. We have a small investment now in survival, which will do a lot of work for us on the health department. We now have 70% more health than we did previously. Our route will exclusively be through the prison depths here. If we do not have a vote, I'll just go for brutality. That is a little burdensome on one person. Especially in conjunction with all the info dumps I keep providing. Ah, look at that. I didn't even notice that was an effect we had on us for a moment. Ah, the oiled sword is personally one of my favorite items. But, oh wait, hold on. We'll want some red shields, because those will scale with our main stat. So they will give us more parry damage accordingly. Now, if we find another sadist stiletto, we can pick that up and use that in conjunction with our blood shield, and that will give us a lot more critical hits. 2 more unlocks to unlock the health buffs, so, I like the oiled sword, but let's go with the fire grenade first. Oh, you know, we have enough to unlock them both. Tonic is good, but I'm going to forget to use it. Well, fire grenade and oiled sword is a perfect combination for us. Now we can start putting points into the 4th health flask, which is our most important effect. We'll upgrade both of those because they're going to be our main weapons. Bloodthirsty Shield has a freezing effect, which I think we might want to stick with. Let's see. None of our brutality effects are particularly useful, so a bit unorthodox. We'll pick Necromancy for now. Ah, I can't heal myself right now. There we go. Thank you very much. Ah, is it no longer reading from Twitch chat over here? I'll have to look real quick. Huh. Restream is no longer showing on my Twitch submissions. Let's look at the chat there. Ah, it's not working. Interesting. I guess I will have to keep Twitch open. Ah, it might just be on a delay then. Very odd. Maybe we should keep the Twitch integration out of this one until we have a much bigger voting base. Disrupts the pacing quite a bit. So the option we have for the next level, all of them seem to be bad. Either a lot of extra ranged enemies, which actually won't be a problem. That gives us more chance to pick up cells from them. Doors will make doors drop bombs every time they're opened, I believe. And Bloodlust will force us to try to be as offensive as possible. The reason why I had the Twitch voting disabled at first is I can't open this door until someone makes a vote. Okay, now it's showing up in the restream chat. Weird. Take a drink. And a 3, and a 2, and a 1. Let's go. It's probably going to try to prompt for another walk-in with assigning who's Captain Chicken. Cursed Treasure is very good for us. It will always give us a colorless item, but we are not going to want that for now. We're going to use our integrated fire damage and oiled sword. But while we're cursed, we're very much in danger. Oh wow, it lets you vote on the cursed chest. Interesting. And yet it still let me open it on my own volition. I wonder if that just gives you an option to disable the curse from it. I hit parry, maybe a bit too late. So, sharpshooters were definitely trouble for us. We'll need to play a bit more cautiously next time. That's another reason why curses are so much trouble for us. Oh, right. Every time you die, they give you an option to insult the streamer. I love this game. We have another brutality start, so we'll focus on that. Wow, this is a lot better with Twitch. Give you a few good smacks. And a parry. Ah! Got a bit too hasty there. Those Oven Knights are very quick on the draw, so they're a bit difficult to read when they're about to make an attack. Detecting a lot of lag, huh? Interesting. Oh, we are getting more dropped frames. Hold on. Let me check my VPN. The stream should be back in a little bit. Let's mess around under the hood just a moment. I will now reconnect and disconnect the VPN real quick. Streamers. OBS Studio reconnection successful, so I'm going to verify that personally and make sure that everything's going right on the stream end, and that seems to be going. Alright, let me know if it's back up. It's currently sending data to YouTube and Twitch. Give that a pause, and Twitch should be back online. There we go. Or not, you're still having issues. Maybe the simulcasting is a bit unfortunate. We might have to just stick to YouTube in the future. Let me know when you can see the stream on Twitch again. I will double check to make sure that YouTube is working. Seems so. Open up that port, and let's open up Twitch. Take a look in there. Still muted. And everything is working. Alright. There's our intermission there. We should be back to business. Ah. Back over here. Alright. If that's the case, I think I'll power down the Twitch integration. Streaming disabled. We'll leave that out for now. That's a little burdensome until we have a larger audience to participate with. Wonder if I can just turn off Twitch then. I will leave it running. I'll change the title, however. Just to not mislead anyone showing up. Alright. It's fun working on this sort of nonsense. But everyone has to go through their hurdles initially. Noida's Twitch integration seems much less problematic. I agree. I streamed this a long time ago with, I think it was way back in 2018. I did have 3 friends who were showing up in Twitch for the time, and that one was functioning a lot better. It didn't last nearly as long though, so I think we'll keep it with the Twitch integration for Noida, and hopefully that would include some potential to mod in a way to get it to work with Restream as well. Ideally. I personally prefer YouTube, so if we can get it to read YouTube's chat, or ideally both Twitch and YouTube, then that would be a much better way to run things for Noida. So this is what we unlocked. We now have this initial room, which has a few very useful items for us. Most importantly, that Hunter's Grenade will let us pick up blueprints guaranteed from an enemy. So from here on out, we might be buying as many of those as we can get our hands on. Mushroom Boy is a liability. So, a question for my regular viewers here. Just so I can know which games are a bit less popular. I'm personally very fond of Noida, but Dead Cells I'm willing to let slide until we have a bigger audience, because I very much love that Twitch integration for it. But only if you had more people watching. Let me know if you want more Dead Cells or less Dead Cells, or if there's any games you have a particular preference to. And personally, I enjoy any of the games that I've shown so far, so I'm more concerned with what you're interested in rather than what I like, given that I love every game I'm playing on here. Dead Cells is mostly an opportunity for me to talk about roguelikes specifically, given that I know this game inside and out. It's generally good having a game that either you know everything about or know nothing about when it comes to streaming. Either way, you want a lot of subject matter to talk about. You'll notice I tend to be very talkative throughout the entire course of these streams. That's a personal goal of mine, no matter how out of breath I get. Wow, we are taking damage. Luckily, we have an opportunity to heal ourselves very, very soon. That first health potion or health flask use will be guaranteed for us. Here. Or not. So those guys' attacks you definitely can't react to, you have to predict them. James, I know you're not fond of fighting games, so let me know if there's, other than Guilty Gear, what you'd like to see during the earlier days in the week. I'd like to save Monday through Wednesday or so for something a bit more relaxed. But as I personally get hyped up for the weekend with its approach, I try to stick to the consistent schedule of Guilty Gear on Friday nights. So far, that's when people have been showing up for them. I'd like to not change around the schedule too much. Of the current stream games, Noida is your favorite. I know it's also a favorite of Broham, who is another one of my regulars, though he's usually preoccupied and doesn't chat nearly as often. So it might, who knows, we might just double up on Noida during the week. That will give me a chance to better focus on it and not end up hurting myself with a self-destruct so often. Just so long as I'm paying attention. After all, if I remember, that's what you first showed up for, was a Noida stream, right? Dodge that. Smack that. Parry that. There we go, now we're getting those parries out. You surprisingly like both. I am very fond of Dead Cells, and I will never stop shilling it for as long as I live. But given that this is an opportunity for me to demonstrate my knowledge rather than an opportunity to discover, I'm much more interested in streaming this once I have a larger audience to show it off to. One reason I did start this so early is so that we could try to get to 5 BC before, or well, rather instead of having it start at such a later and larger audience. Reason for that being, we have to spend a lot of time to unlock things, so I'd be able to make demonstrations a lot better if I had more tools to discuss. As it stands, given that we are earlier into a game, we're technically doing more discoveries. More things to unlock, and definitely things that have changed since I've played it. I've played this game all throughout its lifetime before its official release, so I've generally grown up alongside it, and will have a very different experience to just starting it now. Starting it now and then playing through to the end will be a much different experience than when I first started this back in, I believe it was mid-early 2018. Look at those parries, beautiful. Noida, however, I know next to nothing about, so that gives us a chance to witness some discovery on my part. I feel as if that's a bit more of a personal experience when you and a streamer are viewing a game for the first time. That's why there's lots of competitive games going on where you'll have large crowds, but only so long as the people playing know what they're doing. The smaller streaming opportunities tend to work a lot better for people who are all trying to learn the game for the first time. I am looking to try to expand new games onto the schedule to here. Mostly I just wanted to try to play Dead Cells again, because I did get, I think it was a few extra subscribers the first time I streamed it. So I wanted to see if I could replicate that prior magic, but then again maybe Tuesday is not the most popular day for a stream. For the big part, I'll have to try to discover exactly how I can get so many people to at least know that I'm streaming here. It seems like people have a high retention once they show up, but so few people are seeing the stream or clicking on it in the first place. Statistically, let's go to Promenade. Let's go to Toxic Soup. Let's go Promenade. Statistically, only 4% of people who see a thumbnail show up actually click on the stream. That's for me specifically. During certain other events, such as when Gold Lewis was released for Guilty Gear, I actually had 3 times that amount. 12% of the people who saw that thumbnail show up, you know we need the lightning bolt. 12% of the people who saw that thumbnail show up actually clicked, which is remarkably high. I think the average hovers around 4 to 8%. YOLO while we're still a little bit behind. Once we start beating the bosses more often, we'll be able to upgrade the forge, and that will give us better items on average. That's sort of their way to make you have a better investment in your weapons. Oh, right, now that we have the spider rune, there should be an unlock for us up here. And even further up here. Yeah, it'll take some climbing. You can actually slowly get up any wall in the game by doing this. I think after a long enough time it actually refreshes your wall run. Normally you have to alternate walls, but if it goes on long enough, I think it refreshes on its own. There we go. So that is a mutation for our mixed brutality and tactics runs. Also, now that we have the RAM room, we can unlock these. And now that we have the RAM rune, and the spider rune, we're able to get both of the rose keys. Son Broham, I don't know if he's here in the chat right now. He was talking earlier, but his attention is divided. What's that, about 3 regulars so far? I think that's great for someone who's done so little self-promotion. On my off day tomorrow, I will be doing a bit more research into the Rivals of Aether workshop stuff, given that that is our Thursday stream subject. And in my other free time... Very distracted. What did you miss? I don't know, apparently Kayla had something she wanted to say. Frostblast. Wolf Trap is very useful for us. Sunbrohem has my back on Noida. Absolutely. That is another game I'm actually very much loving to see. We might even start doing that 2 streams a week. But I would like to try to pick up some new games because it seems the most reliable way for me to get any traction is with an episode 1. Marky, James, you did mention Control previously, which is a game that another one of my friends has mentioned, so that might be a game for me to show on the channel soon. Noida is the best game of this type, IMO. Well, eventually we're going to have some sort of... I don't know how we're going to do it, but we're going to have some sort of a Dead Cells versus Noida fight. Alright, noted. I might do Dead Cells a bit less frequently. I do absolutely love it, but it is a game that requires a lot of concentration that might not work best for me while streaming. You will have seen that during my fighting game playthroughs, I tend to shut up a bit if I'm concentrating on the fight itself. Although this game can definitely work a lot better off of autonomous responses, given that all the enemies are very telegraphed with their attacks. Noida is probably a much better game for us, given that it has much more to discover for now. In this case, it will mostly be me angrily slamming my head against the wall until I get better. Which I should allegedly be the best, but you put this game down for a long enough time, and you stop being so pro at it. We haven't even gotten to the first boss yet on the stream. Also, a lot of our time will have to be with focusing on building up upgrades. We don't have all of the best tools available to us so early. We have to deal with the capable but few starter weapons for a while. Actually, one thing we need to note is trying to get into the, what was it, that hard place. The other option when we are in the prison depths. Here's our other elusive garden key. The swamp place. I'll remember the name of it when I see it. Something started with a B, I think. something of the Forgotten or Forsaken or whatever it's called. I'm gonna really be stuck in that, aren't I? Anyways, that is the place that contains the blueprint for my favorite weapon in the game. You cannot imagine by watching everything that you have on Noida how that could get any more intense. It's so multifaceted in many ways. We haven't even had a boss battle yet. Or, well, we have, but those were less like boss battles and more like lost battles. Rimshot, but what we're wanting to focus on with that game is getting better wands, which gives us a better chance to have a fight. Once we actually start fighting bosses, we should have better things from there. I have looked up a couple of guides just because I wanted to make sure I wasn't making any absolutely horrible beginner mistakes. That's where I learned the other day that I should be carrying a water potion at just about all times. Broham has instructed me specifically to douse myself in water before stepping into flames. This game looks awesome at the end of the day. Have it on Xbox but haven't played. As I said, this is absolutely my favorite game of all time. And with my game development aspirations, it might be most comparable to this. The games I've shown so far on stream are my favorites. I haven't put up a single game that I don't like except for, say, Red Dead Redemption. I was mostly playing because a few friends were suggesting it to me. But that is a very, very long-winded game, and I'm not so sure about making too much of a commitment there. Oblivion, in contrast, is more open-ended, and that's just another game to relax with. Before I have too big of an audience, I was wanting to be a bit less invested on the heavily story-focused games. Psychonauts, however, was a very personal favorite of mine, so I had to play that on release date. We did pick up, I think, about 2 more viewers than usual on those stream days. And so far, they do remain among my more successful videos, second only to Guilty Gear. Ooh, nice. Morrowind streamer, you know, I very much would love to stream Morrowind. I think that's a bit niche, and unless you already have the audience specifically looking for it, or if you have a large audience, that might turn some people off that aren't specific. That's it, Moras of the Banished. That's where we should be heading next. Morrowind would be nice, but I don't know how much extra traction that's going to pick up. I do believe the other games I've been playing on here are more popular, but they're still not picking up any traction. I don't know exactly how the comparison is between a niche game and a popular game. So far, I've gotten the most views from Psychonauts 2 on release date and Guilty Gear. You could not imagine buying a game and not playing it, but you're weird. Well, that's generally going to be the case of someone who has a very large Steam library, and I would very much like to get back to Red Dead at some point, but I've never found too much love for Rockstar. I was playing that game because friends wanted to watch it, and maybe once there's a bigger audience for it. Until then, I'm going to stream the games I love more, or I'm better at. Guilty Gear's popular, but that one comes with the included advertisement because there have been people who've shown up in the streams after a fight. We're gonna have to use another potion. The single-player games like this are probably not going to find much traction unless someone is looking for specifically this content. Okay, do anything Halo, personal preference. I do have Halo on the list soon, but one of the conversations I was having yesterday was that Melty Blood comes out soon, and I believe the Nicktoons fighting game, the Nicktoons Smash, comes out soon after that. I want to buckle down for those games when they are going to have a lot of popularity stacked up. Halo will no doubt be a lot more popular when the release for Infinite falls closer. That's why I generally want to focus on the game itself for my parries. You also can't dodge roll through those explosive bird guys. So those you actually have to parry. Brandon did say on the last Guilty Gear stream that he wanted to see some Halo, so expect that soon, maybe even next weekend. 20 games you haven't played but you own so far. That can probably happen when you have either a very busy schedule to attend to otherwise, or if something shows up on a sale bundle. I know a good number of the games I have in my library I have only seen through bundles. Or games I have aspirations to play, but usually they escape me as a lot of work stuff shows up. On the Halo subject, expect that soon, possibly even next weekend. I just tried to dodge roll through those guys. That's why we wanted to have the parries prepared. I didn't even know the explosive bats were showing up in that level so soon. Maybe we shouldn't go there unless we have a ranged weapon to fight them off with. Just busy or want to play comfort games. I'd cite that as my main reason too. Another of the 700 reasons I started streaming was to clear out my backlog. Noida was one of those games that I picked up but hadn't played much of. We have a survival bias to start with, so let's go with that. Noida I mostly held off on because I knew it was a game I had a potential to obsess over. I have a very busy work schedule and I'm quite irresponsible about getting to sleep on time. So I do find myself stagnated with a lot of games that I don't play, just because I'm worried I might get too obsessed with them and stay up till 1 or 2 a.m. playing them. Then my next workday is absolutely ruined. So I'd chalk the fact that I have plenty of unplayed games in my library to busyness as well. Please parry responsibly. There we get crits and no one to use them on. Disappointing. Halo might actually show up. I think next weekend would be the last weekend we have before Type Lumina, so I might try to throw in Halo on next weekend. This weekend I don't have any subject matter for the Saturday stream, and depending on how much happens on Guilty Gear, I might try to do Halo for the Saturday stream as well. Let's hope I never get hooked on Noida like you have. Took a 30-hour run to beat it for real. 30 hours? Did you do a lot of exploring, or... That sounds like that's a lot of content on there. I haven't even streamed the entire game for 30 hours yet. Though I'd wager in that case you might have found some very high power wands and started digging into other places on the map. Sounds like that would be a very comprehensive explore everything and then try to fight the final boss route. The thing about Dead Cells, and one reason why I focused on it so much, is a successful run will take you about 1 hour or so. True ending takes a lot of exploration. Did you only do the true ending the first time, or did you do, say, a regular ending? Until I know what I'm doing, which will probably involve all those emerald tablets, or orbs, it looks like it's going to be the regular final boss for our first, beating that game. You did mention, get OP about 1 hour in. We've found some streams that have lasted about 40 minutes, so I think in that case we mostly just need to find a few good wands, and then from there, we make our proper builds. come here. Regular ending about 5 times before you went for true. How long did the regular ending get you? Hope I don't accidentally stumble into a bad ending now. That would be very interesting if we ended up in an Oida stream that lasted for 5 different streams. Though that would only be about 15 hours. Missing my parries. About 40 minutes to an hour for a regular ending. Alright. That's the same for this game. It starts out about a 40-minute run on the lower difficulties. Then it gets to about an hour at most difficulties, and once you get to the final one, it'll take an extra 20 minutes to get through the last boss. Noida knowledge is relatively limited. Well then, I think we have our main game for this channel that isn't Guilty Gear. That might be the one we end up focusing on most, then. Thank you, Brandon, for bringing up Halo. Is my delay that heavy? We don't have any dropped frames right now. Also, here's a very weird thing for you. It's currently telling me I only have 2 viewers on YouTube. Let me check the actual website itself. Okay, on the website it says 3 concurrent viewers. On the Restream application it says... Okay, now it says 3. Said 2 a moment ago, maybe it was tripping me up. I don't know how YouTube tracks active concurrent viewers. Says 3 for you. It's always changing. That's bizarre. I wonder if it counts against if someone's tabbed out, or if... sometimes it's none. Even with everyone in here, okay. So I'm not the only person noticing it. It'll say viewers disappear even though I already... Let's skip the tonic. It will say there's no viewers in here even though there's 3 of you chatting simultaneously. So I have no idea how this game tracks viewer counts. How, YouTube tracks viewer counts. Alright, Kayla and Brandon. I'll try and make my promise that, if not starting on Saturday this weekend, I'll start a Halo stream on next weekend. That might even replace Guilty Gear for our Friday slot. Who knows? I'll do a test run and try Guilty Gear on a Thursday or another day instead, and see how it compares. We don't want to go to the dilapidated Arboretum. I'm actually going to try Promenade again. Come on, get me over there. You're about to switch tabs. It's 3 watching right now, let you know if it goes to 2. Well, it says 2 for me right now, so maybe if you're tabbed out, it subtracts the viewer count. Take a drink, pause the game, and bathroom break. You get to watch Xander stare into space for a moment. start singing that while I'm off, or maybe at the start of a stream. Staring staring contest. Amazing. I really should get a "we'll be right back" button. It might not be that difficult. Who knows? How did you all like the art stream anyway? I might try to do a Xander Learns How to Draw stream. I know that my entire viewer base, or at least among my 3 regulars here, I know that you're all artists yourselves, so maybe you all have an opportunity to teach me instead. Xander has returned, yes. I've made a grandiose re-entrance with accompanying theme song. I very much like the art stream too, and maybe a dedicated art stream would be a good idea for the future. The last one had mostly a lot of talking and very little drawing to go along with it, but as one part of having to build a character for Rivals of Aether, I will need to draw out some animation guides for myself, in case I do get any sort of spriting help from the community. Yellow is important for us. Take a drink of that. We might have had to go for necromancy. That might have been the better option. Symmetrical Lance sucks, so we are going to skip upgrading that and instead hope that we find a better item. So I will definitely need to sit down and look at potential attack animations. I enjoy very expressive character animations for their attacks rather than super generic kicks and punches. To that end, alright, all these guys have an unlock for us. This is going to be a problem. Actually, we have the punishment here, which should serve us a lot better. So given that I'm going to have to draw out a lot of expressive animations and attacks, I might try to do an art stream where I just sketch out a bunch of those little gimmicks. Now I have explained to all of you various game mechanics or strategies when it comes to playing fighting games or talking about how roguelikes are built. So an opportunity for all of you to teach me how to draw might be fun. It might even be the most popular. Apparently I got an extra sub from the art stream, and I don't even know why or how. Animations. Hello, Axel. I never knew how to actually pronounce that. Anyway, Axelot, welcome to the stream. We are discussing the possibility of getting back into art streams in the future. Even though I am not a practiced artist, I have been looking for an opportunity to get back into trying it. It's a skill I will need in the future. I do have some minor initial investment in it. The second job that I ever wanted would have been a cartoonist. That was roughly in my later elementary school years. Bruh, he says. I love that profile picture too. Axolotls are wonderful. You excited for their inclusion in Minecraft, I imagine. How does everyone feel about Minecraft anyway? I don't have too much of an attachment to it, and I feel the case with that game is there's a very weird specific amount of popularity that you're not going to get any attention for a game. We had maybe only 1 or 2 new viewers throughout the entire course of us looking up Psychonauts, which did us a little bit of good, but nothing too much. I think the case there was it is a game that everyone was streaming at the same time, so we had no progress to be made. Given that no one was coming here, they were already watching their other streamers, or playing it themselves. So the interesting thing we have to figure out, and I did mention this while we were talking about Morrowind being a niche game, we have to find games that have, 1, enough of a following that people are actively looking for content for them, and 2, games that don't have everything locked into place from bigger people already, or large enough people already streaming it. You're on a minor break from Minecraft until the next update comes out. Same here. I haven't played since the update that they added bees. I played for a little bit after that, but I don't think I've really played much for the entirety of 2021. Take a drink. And see, now it tells me I only have one viewer on YouTube, even though I know there's more than that in here. YouTube just really doesn't like me. And then apparently at some point I had 5. Which was 15 minutes ago. I guess people really like their bathroom breaks. That's actually one reason why I was so interested in Noida, and to an extent, Dead Cells, although I don't think people are nearly as invested in Dead Cells right now. Noida had its release last year, and accordingly, there should still be enough of a little bit of traction of people talking about it. We don't have any bleed bonuses, so I'll skip those for now. I wonder what we're holding that grenade for. I don't even know. Right, there's probably a bonus in there. You played Minecraft consistently until the day the Cape update was announced, at which point you were like, you want to go into that update fresh. That's the same reason I had it that way. I owned a Minecraft server that I played regularly with about 2 friends, really. There's only the 3 of us that ever did anything on there. And we wanted to wait until the new update launches, so I might have friends playing there, who knows. Let me know if you want Xander to throw up a... Throw up is the wrong choice of words there. Let me know if you want me to put up a Minecraft server when that update comes out. Maybe not a good idea to divide viewer bases, but people are definitely going to look for it, so people might accidentally stumble across Xander's little stream here. And an opportunity to play with a small streamer would probably entice a few people in. I am not the most creative or intuitive of builders, but I guess that would be an opportunity for me to practice that instead. In the meantime, you've tried out Terraria for the first time in years. I played Terraria once in 2017, and then my friend immediately had a busy schedule. So that's another game I haven't completed yet. And that definitely has enough of a following that people would be searching for it, but not too much of a following that everyone is playing it. So I'm very interested in Terraria eventually. Maybe as a multiplayer thing. If a game has a multiplayer opportunity, I'd like to play it multiplayer. In most cases, no. We haven't had any games that we've been playing single player when multiplayer was an option yet, have we? So far, no. You play Bedrock so you wouldn't be able to join a Java server. That's very unfortunate. You know, in retrospect, Bedrock might be a better version. I hear it's a lot more stable. Plus, it's not built on Java. If Bedrock ever gets any sort of modding support, then I guess that should be a death sentence for Java. Aside from all the historic mods that we already have for it. I'd attack these guys, but I'd grenade these guys, but I think they only give us a ninja outfit. Since you play Bedrock, you get RTX. Absolutely. That game looks incredible. Everyone loves a really good teacher. Who am I? Well, I'm Xander Turing, obviously. I think you mentioned you were using text-to-speech before, so I don't know exactly what you're referring to in that case, Kayla. I wonder what those grenadier guys drop. I think that was the source of that magnet grenade, but that's not the most useful of things for us. Also, since I just remembered, this Friday we're going to do something different with our Guilty Gear stream. Instead of hitting the ranked tower, we're going to go to the parks and just fight people there. We hit our Celestial floor last stream, so that's mostly the goal I wanted to hit to prove it. Parks will also give us a lot more chance to just talk and play without fear of losing a rank or getting too competitive or steamed or anything like that. It also probably provides us a chance to get more viewers in here, given that it's easier for someone to show up so long as they fight multiple rounds against you instead of just the 3 and they're gone in ranked. Nope, sir, that was right on the money. I am a teacher. I am the teacher. Well, agreed, but I don't understand what the who are you part is for. This is an absolutely horrible weapon. Throw down the trap and see if we can get our... Oh, no, the fire will work for him. There we go, now we have crits. And 60 kills without taking any damage. That unlocks for us a more powerful weapon in the next level. So this weekend is going to be parks and parks and plenty of recreation to go along with it for the Guilty Gear stream. I might try to make this one last a lot longer since it's going to be less competitive and more of a chance for everyone to play. Those of you who are interested in joining, which out of this group I believe that's only Broham, well, we'll have much more of a chance to fight. Also, the only other time I did go into parks, I ended up getting a regular follower out of that, who hasn't shown up for every stream but has shown up for a lot of them. As I said earlier in this stream, I would prefer not being the centerpiece to someone's life, but it is very, very heartwarming to have people regularly showing up for every single stream. It brings me a lot of joy to know that I'm a very important part of your evenings. If there is any schedule that works better for y'all, let me know. I'm just mostly doing this after a day of work. Then on weekends I'm trying to relax, but I might start trying to do bigger streams on the weekends instead. Okay, apparently the wolf trap does not actually kill those things. Only does a very little amount of damage to them. Minecraft might happen, but in all honesty, I'm a little hesitant to focus on that too much when it comes out. I'll see exactly how many people are streaming, or, I think on its release date or close enough to it, I'll go ahead and stream it anyway. But if we're not getting too much of an influx of viewers because of that, I'll drop it. Just because I know Minecraft is a very big centerpiece to a lot of VTubers, and I'd like having something that stands out a little bit. Sure, I'll play all the games that are commonplace tropes, most of those being frustration games, or a few horror games, or some... well, no. Horror games aren't happening on this channel. But there are a variety of streamer favorites. I know Getting Over It with Bennett Foddy is one of those. And that would be an excellent exercise in Xander's patience. What keys are we missing? Did we already unlock the explosive crossbow then? Well, fellas, you got some prep to do for cooking guests for a guest coming over. Good luck on the rest of my runs, thank you. This might be the last one for tonight, who knows. We'll see how far we can take this one. 2BC is being a lot harder for us. Ah, so we do still have the blueprint there. Thank you very much for your time, Broham. I love seeing you every single day that you show up. We're here, building the base. I can't tell you how much that means to me. I've actually had my model since April. I probably should have started streaming them then, but for the longest time I imagined that it wasn't going to turn out to be a success. But here I am with 40 subscribers, even though I've done so little self-advertisement. Take a drink. The longer this stream goes on, the harder it is to talk. Alright, that was dialogue we haven't read through before. That's mostly just a chance for a little bit of gold there. What we are checking for right now is trying to make sure we can find that last rose key, because we still need that gardener's crossbow. That explosive crossbow. We have reached the end of the level, so everything should be safe for us moving forward. For the two of you that are here, it's still completely up in the air if or what we'll be doing on Saturday. That, if there's enough hype for it, might be another chance to do an art stream. Make for a very comfy Saturday. That's the exact same amulet I'm already carrying. Otherwise, tomorrow night, on the off day, I might try to go ahead and build a couple of sprites for our Rivals of Aether project. Gonna look for, I think... why not just head to the very end and start going leftward? Yes, you did hear art stream. As much as you could call it art. I suppose that has a much more successful chance, so... Oh, is that why my viewer count dropped? Did you just tab out until you heard mention of an art stream? Yeah, that might be a possibility. Although, I definitely need my practice. It would be a chance for me to start learning how to draw. Because as it is, you can see from the last time I was playing, I was mostly essentially just starting with line art instead of doing a rough sketch to get size right. You never left, but the viewer count has fluctuated, so I think... I don't know. YouTube is being incredibly fickle. Always. We're not going down here. The keys aren't down here below. Focus, Xander. Focus. So I'm definitely going to need to focus on trying to get some sort of animation direction started. This was a tangent I started earlier but got distracted off of. Guess it's better to talk too much than to talk too little, especially as a streamer. We got that key. So what are we still looking for? We already explored down that chute. And a chance for me to practice my drawing skills and learn from all of you would definitely be a very good use of time. I also know art streams are very popular, and given that we have a little spin with trying to draw some animation direction, that has a very big spot for viewer participation. If I have any attacks I'm not sure what to do with, maybe someone has a better idea than I do. Kayla said hi. Indeed, always. Don't know how to get personal. Just both of you. Indeed. Thank you both of you, James and Kayla, for spending so much time here. Especially on every stream. I've had a few people who will show up, maybe every 2 weeks or so, but both of you generally show up for every single one. We've explored the entire surface of the map, but we don't know where that last gardener key is. By process of elimination, it might be from the actual flower growing out of the ground. We're only going to need to do this the one time, though. We don't need to focus on every key every single time we're going through. I might have passed over it and got distracted. I absolutely love the fan art, the Xander fan art, James. I might try to appropriate that pose for a taunt or maybe an attack. I definitely love the laser beams. I think that is actually the spot where the rose would have grown, so now we are looking for a ram room location. Audience participation is the biggest part of being a streamer, which is why I've been trying to throw in the Twitch integration, but it works better for Noida than it does for this game. There we go. Here's our last key. Subtle, isn't it? That would be a very chill thing and wonderful thing to be doing on Saturday, so let me know on Twitter. I'll go ahead and reiterate that for the next few streams. If we're figuring out what the heck we're going to be doing for Saturday, it might be another art stream. And maybe this time I'll start trying to pick up how to properly draw, and we'll figure out what little animations and quirks we can do as we're building our character. I don't think we get to go into prison depths from here. We do. I want to focus on upgrades, so instead we're going to go straight to the Morass of the Banished, which should be a new area for us. Until we have a better weapon to go along with, I think we'll be a lot more responsible with not trying to pick up all the cursed chests that we can. A hug from Kayla, thank you. If I was there in person, I'd hug you back. Anyone who'd accept it. Take your time as things are now, because the further along we get with streaming, I'm going to be less available to talk to every single person individually. The part of streaming I'm most excited for is when I have an audience of about 30 to 50 or so. A good number of people of those will have a conversation in chat, and once I get to those numbers, it seems about half to 2/3 of them, about 1/3 to 2/3 will just be lurkers at that point. So past that, you'll only have a portion of people trying to talk. It will be very, very easy to keep up a conversation with 30 or so people in the chat, with maybe 10 of them talking. Plenty of time for engagement there. Once you start getting to the very, very big streamer part, you're only really interacting with the most talkative people are the people who make their donations. That punishment is going to carry us as far as we possibly can. Necromancy I'll go with because I don't exactly have the best faith in our ability to survive from here. I've seen a lot of those streamers that regularly pull 1,000 viewers or so, and They'll interact with the super chatters, but not too much outside of that. There, while you're under that trap. Ooh, freeze. Excellent. Alright, we'll just have to parry you. Seems our Symmetrical Lance is not doing nearly the damage we need. Oh, they can kick behind them. So this is where we're wanting to prepare ourselves and hopefully have a better weapon in the future. Morris of the Banished is one of the hardest levels in the game. But I'm about to show you the reason we're down here. I think it's a guaranteed drop the first time. Alright, so we know they attack behind them after they turn around. We might just have to wait for the first parry. The hug was for James, but for me also. Well, thank you. Use our other potions since we're having so much trouble. Facing away, we might just try to focus on parrying him instead. He is doing a lot of damage to us. 2BC is already very difficult. Get over here. I said get over here. So the issue we have with a freezing shield is his attack speed is going to change after he's frozen. The problem there is it will be harder to read his spells because his attack will be slower, and we might end up missing the parry. So, welcome to the Morass of the Banished. We've already used 3 of our flasks, which would be all of them while we don't have the fully upgraded version. More cautiously. And preferably with a better weapon than our starter Symmetrical Lance. We definitely need to find something better than that. And fast. This is one of the worst weapons in the game. Even with those crits, it's doing very little damage. I don't know if we'll get through this level, but we might as well use that elite grenade while we're here. Especially on one of the easier enemies to defeat. Those guys have a lot of health, but they only have 1 attack, and it's incredibly telegraphed. Like so. Ooh, spiked shield. That's incredibly useful for us. That is similar to the punishment in the fact that it is a high damage shield. But we're not going to keep it. Alright, next time we go down there, we're going to make sure we don't have a Symmetrical Lance. Unfortunately, that's one of the weapons we've upgraded since we've beaten the final boss so soon. Once we get that health flask, though, we will focus on grabbing other weapons instead. 2BC is where the game gets difficult. We've had, what, feels like about 12 runs at this point, and we've only beaten the game first try on 0BC, and then the second try on 1BC. I think that's an excellent stopping point for us right there, though, because damn does this game get difficult. It might be a little bit easier or even harder with the streamer integration to come by later. But for the most part, we're going to have a bit of a slowdown until we get that 4th flask refill. That's what's going to be most important to us. Then we can mostly focus on trying to get other weapons there. As we get a better selection, it'll be easier for us to play. Alright, 2.5 hours. Let me know what times of the evening work best for you. I'm trying to try out new streaming schedules. This time was at 7 p.m. for me on CST, which is where most of my streaming schedules are going to be focused. If there's any time that works out best for you, slightly earlier or slightly later, let me know. I've been alternating it mostly on 6 and 8 CST, and the earlier times are when I'm trying to shoot for. The later times that I start a stream is mostly because I've had a very tired day, and I'd like to have a bit of a chance to nap when I get home. Other than that, it seems like everyone's excited for a potential art stream. I'll weigh the possibility of that on Twitter. Let me also know in the DMs here or there explicitly, not implied, but explicitly, here in the comments or on Twitter if you actually do want that art stream. Tomorrow night, though, I will try to get at least a few example sprites out there, here or there. And maybe we'll have something at least to show on Thursday. Thursday is our Rivals of Aether stream, and Friday is Guilty Gear afterwards. Rivals of Aether will focus mostly on the workshop, so if you own a copy of the game or want to purchase one tomorrow or on Thursday, we'll have the chance to just vibe most of the time. And we'll do friendlies or explore characters on the workshop. Afterwards, next week we might see more of the same, but I'll see what other games I can find and start playing instead. Dead Cells might be put on the back burner for a little bit, just because it's going to need a bit more traction first. I'll start trying to use my spare time to get out some compilations, mostly starting with Noida. Noida seems like it's going to be a bigger focus for us, given that I have a lot of hilarious accidental deaths to show off. That'll be a good clip compilation to get out there. Expect next week to have Noida Rivals. We might even drop Guilty Gear for a week, because we could set up for Halo stuff. And then the week after that is definitely going to focus on Melty Blood, and soon afterwards, the new Nicktoon Smash. That's the syllabus for now, and otherwise, a very good night to you. Class is dismissed. Ah, I should probably say that a bit more assertive. Hold on. I need to play it up a bit better. Take one last drink. Class is dismissed.